Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. So in this video I am bringing you a book review for Middle of the Night by Riley Sager, which is his most recent release. It came out this week in the US and then it comes out on the 2nd of July in the UK. I was sent an early copy through NetGalley in order to review it on my channel, and I was so excited because I look forward to reading Riley Sager's books every year when they come out. I've read his entire backlist and I was very intrigued about this one in particular because it's the first of his books that features a male protagonist. If you're interested, by the way, I do have a video on my channel that I'll leave linked in the description where a few years ago I ranked all of the Riley Sager books that were out at the time. I think I filmed it around the time the House Across the Lake came out, so the only books missing are Middle of the Night and The Only One Left, which I did enjoy. I think my top three Riley Sager books are still Home Before Dark, Lock Every Door and the Only One Left. House Across the Lake is still my least favourite, and this one, Middle of the Night, I would put somewhere in the middle. I don't know how exciting this review is going to be because I have such middle of the road feelings about it, but I thought it would still be fun to sit down and film this review. I am going to keep things spoiler free, by the way, so if you haven't read this book yet, which if you're in the UK obviously it's not out yet, but if you're in the US and you didn't rush out to buy this on release week, then I'm not going to spoil anything. I'm going to give a brief synopsis of the plot and then I'm going to get more into the vibes and the atmosphere and all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, let's get into the review. Like I said, will start by summarising the plot. This follows a main character called Eddie who, when he was 10 years old, he was out camping in his backyard with his best friend Billy. When something happened, Eddie woke up the next morning to find a big slash in the side of the tent and Billy was missing. He was actually never found, and it's now 30 years later, and our main character returns to his childhood home because his parents are moving away and he's struggling with insomnia. He's been through therapy pretty much his entire life and he is figuratively and also potentially literally being haunted by his past. So it's that familiar trope where you're following this main character in the present day as he's trying to uncover what happened back then, but then you also get these flashbacks to the past from the day that Billy went missing. You actually see the perspective of multiple characters that live in this neighbourhood, and that's actually the first thing I wanted to talk about, is the setting, because I love small town settings but also thrillers that take part within a closed group of people or a small group of people. This neighbourhood actually reminded me a little bit of Desperate Housewives, except the tone of this was not in any way comedic. It was very atmospheric. I do think that Riley Sager is very good at building atmosphere and drawing you into the setting and making you feel like you're there. There were some moments throughout this that I found genuinely creepy. I would be really intrigued actually to hear from anyone who read the audiobook, because I'm wondering whether it included like sound effects and stuff. There's this recurring dream that our main character has of the night that his friend went missing. He's not a super reliable narrator because he was 10 years old when this happened and he's always maintained that he doesn't remember anything from that night. But yeah, going back to the setting where this takes place, it's this small circle of houses. I think there's 6 families that have lived in this small cul-de-sac for generations, maybe not quite generations, but for like decades. People don't tend to move away because up until what happened, this was a fairly safe neighbourhood. It also borders onto these woods, and yeah, there was just something about the setting that I really liked. Although there's many characters that you follow, I never struggled to really keep track of everyone because I thought the author did a really good job of reminding us how different characters were connected and how they knew each other. Obviously they all lived within this same community, but I think he did a good job of reminding us who were friends and who was related to who and all of that kind of stuff. The past timeline is set in the 1990s, and I do tend to enjoy books that are set during the 80s or the 90s, during that nostalgic time. There's something about it, and I can't really explain it, but it reminds me a lot of Stephen King's books. Obviously Stephen King was publishing at that time, but yeah, there was something about it that gave me similar sort of vibes, even though this, I mean, actually, that's a good point. I think this did have some horror elements. Like in terms of the atmosphere, it did feel like the atmosphere of a horror thriller rather than like a super fast-paced pure thriller. I feel like a lot of Riley Sager's books do that. They kind of blend a few different genres, and this had that feeling where you're not sure, is there something paranormal going on or is there a more human explanation? And I like how Riley Sager does that, even though I don't always enjoy the direction that he takes that in. I feel like it is spoilery to say which direction a book goes in, so I won't do that, but I think just the very fact that it has that means that some people are going to be disappointed, because some people are going to want it to lean into the paranormal and other people aren't. So one thing I do always respect about Riley Sager's books is how they always have at least one twist that I don't see come in. Usually they have multiple twists, and actually what I will say about this book is I think the reveals started happening too late. So the first half I really enjoyed, I was really compelled to keep on reading. Then there was a lull where I felt like it was becoming a little bit tedious, and then it picked up again in the ending. I feel like the reveals should have started happening sooner, or I think we should have had more reveals earlier on in the book, and that would have kept my attention for a little bit longer. But yeah, as usual with Riley Sager's books, there are many twists in this book. Some of the twists I did see come in. There was one in particular that literally made me roll my eyes because I thought it was so obvious. But then there were also a few twists that I didn't see come in, and I always respect and appreciate that. Throughout this book, I kept going back and forth between a 3 and a 4 stars, but the ending kind of cinched it for me. I did like the ending. I don't think everyone will, but I like how I had that moment where something clicked and I realised what had happened, what had been going on, and yeah, I love that. It feels satisfying to me, even if I don't love everything about a book. Like with a thriller, I want that moment of realisation. This also didn't give me whiplash, like The Only One Left. The Only One Left, I think, had so many twists that I was really struggling to keep up. It was like bam, bam, bam. And while Middle of the Night does have multiple twists, the way that they're delivered, I think, is a little bit more smooth. I feel like in a way, Riley Sager just can't win because the most common criticism that I've seen of his books is that he takes things too far, but then I've also found with some of his books he doesn't take them far enough, so they end up feeling a little underwhelming. But yeah, I think if you were to ask me for my thoughts on this book in say 6 months time or a year's time, they're mostly going to be positive. Like, I enjoyed my time reading it, it's just not like super memorable to me. The setting I think was unique, and the way that the events unfolded, the way that everything came together, I thought was clever. It just didn't stand out to me as much as some of his other books, so that's why I gave it 4 stars. Let me know in the comments if you've read this book and what you thought of it. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and click subscribe if you would like to see more videos from me, but otherwise I will see you next time. Bye.